Yo, what's going on? It's DJ Crowley and Blues in the house, of course, as well. And we have a very, very special guest in the house, Bobby Alu. What is going on? How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm just cruising today, so caught me on a good day.
Wonderful, man. I saw your social media. You were at California Roots, Cali Roots, a few days ago. How was that?
Yeah, it was great. That was my first experience, coming from Australia. I've never experienced it before, heard lots of good things, so it was good to finally get to see it, feel it, touch it. Yeah.
It's a special place. Dan Sheehan and that whole team is just so pro at what they do, so incredibly talented, so warm. The history behind those festival grounds, I don't know if you know this, but it's where the Monterey Pop Festival was held, the big festival in the late 60s with all the incredible artists from that era, the flower power era. That bowl is such a special place. It's just magical.
Yeah, it has that feeling, and I was aware that that's where Jimi Hendrix burnt his guitar on
Correct.
that stage. Being in that bowl and seeing it and feeling it, I was like, wow, this has got some history. And yes, it was good to be there in the flesh.
So you're on tour. You got a new record. We're going to be talking about a lot of that stuff throughout the chat. But I do want to get back to the beginning with you, your Polynesian and Samoan culture, your roots, and how it relates to your music. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, look, I grew up in Australia. My father's from Australia, but my mother's from Samoa, and the whole story with them is something that travels with me. My dad literally went around the South Pacific on a scuba diving adventure and met my mother, and they fell pregnant with me, and then came back to Australia. And so I grew up in Australia, but I had always had this island feeling at home, and that's where the music came from for me. So growing up on the coastlines of Australia, but having this island flavor. And yeah, so I guess it really is, all my music is deeply rooted from there. But I'm into so much music and so many different styles. It all is a bit of a mashup.
Yeah, absolutely. We are huge, huge, huge fans of the music that comes out of your home, the Pacifica region. I unfortunately, when we were at Camp Redwoods last year, we didn't get to catch your set. We got extremely sick, but I did run into you, and we chatted about that for a second. There's bands like Tosh Sultana, there's bands like Leisure, there's bands like WFX with all these different sounds, but there's so much soul, there's so much power to that region. Why do you think that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think honestly, I think a lot of it is the nature and the land. There's something raw and real about Australia, and for anyone that has been there, it's so freaking wild.
Yeah.
It's like you wake up in the morning to the sounds of so many birds, and sometimes in the middle of the night you hear all these noises of different animals. And I think that rawness and that soul comes out in people's music. Like it's there's something about the rawness and the realness, and just like having been so grounded in Australia, and when you can have that in your music, then that's a really special thing.
It is, man. We keep on discovering these incredible artists every single day, every month. It's just you talk about lately, especially the threads that lead to the cool things in life. I think that's what's been happening musically for us, finding all these amazing little threads within that region that lead to others.
Mm. It's also so far away, like Australia's so far away. So I think people really develop their own sound, like, yeah, just kind of hidden away. And then if they're lucky, and if they get some traction, they can start to move around the world.
Well, you've definitely been moving around the world, and we're going to talk more about your travels here in a bit. But first, if you're just tuning in, you are late. It's okay, though. We got Bobby Alu here on the Simmer Down Radio program. We're so stoked to talk with you. I want to get into this new record, Keep It Tropical. um, you know, we kind of chatted a little bit at Camp Redwoods. Unfortunately, didn't get to see your set. And after camp, I checked out your music, and I really, really started digging it. And then that Keep It Tropical single dropped, and we fell in love. It was this really powerful thing. And then I didn't realize it, and I was scrolling through the Spotify or whatever, and your record had dropped, the whole Keep It Tropical record. And I put it on before I went into the gym, and then I walked out of the gym, musically changed. It was one of those records that front to back is absolute gold and makes you feel, which is, I think, one of the most important things in music. Let's talk about Keep It Tropical.
Oh man, thank you. It's an honor for me to hear that. And that's exactly what, I guess exactly where it stemmed from. I've had lots of great experiences the last few years, lots of different adventures and, things that I never thought would happen. One of them is I do these things called rhythm quests where I go to like a different country or a culture where I really like the drumming or the rhythms. It's the first one I did, I went to Ghana in West Africa, and there was something about that music and the style of drumming and the singing that really spoke to me. And when I went there, I really, really just was overwhelmed with inspiration from the way that they treat music, and it's almost like the music just comes out of them. It just comes out of, and I was being able to see that, be able to play with some master drummers from Ghana was a real special thing. So last year I went to the Cook Islands, which is like a small tiny island in the in Polynesia, and well, it's a group of 10, and their national sport is pretty much drumming. Like they have this style of drumming which is unbelievable. It's the best I can describe it. It's like a flock of birds or a school of fish. It's like everyone moves together in harmony, and then they just like change direction, and the groove and the flow is so heavy. So I needed to get there and be and just see it and feel it. And yeah, I spent a couple of months there playing with this group, and the whole time I was just hoping, and I thought that I might get a few lessons on how to technically play the drums, but I didn't get any lesson. I got one lesson the whole time, and after a few weeks of just observing and being there, this old drummer came up to me, gave me a pair of drumsticks, and he said, "When they go, go. When they stop, stop." That was it. That was my lesson the whole time, and what it kind of made me really sink into was this feeling of listening, and of like letting everything that's happened in your life, all the music that's in you, just letting it come out, and observing what's going on, and just letting it happen. And so I think, yeah, it's a long answer to your question, but that's kind of where this album, Keep It Tropical, like lots of these experiences have just let it's just come up. There's been no formula, there's been no plan. It's just like these are the songs that rose to the top.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No formula, no plan. The artistic process is very different for everyone. It's art, right?
Yeah,
But the way that you talk about it, you have to feel. So, in order for you to love something, you have to feel it first, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things, and with music, it's so vital. And we listened to that record, and I listened to the record, and then I showed it to Blue, and he felt. You can just see things on people's faces when really good art hits you like that. And real quick, man, how can everybody find you and find this new record?
sure, sure. Well, look, my name is Bobby Alu, and if you just put that in web, you'll find the thread. You'll find your way on there. It's on all the streaming platforms. It's on my website. It's on Bandcamp. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. So yeah, there's ways to find it. And if you see me in person, you can get it on vinyl. There's vinyl out. There's CDs still. Actually, we even put. Well, I have a cassette tape too.
I did.
Yeah, we got the cassette tapes.
I saw the cassette tape. You can't see to my stage right, your left. We have a beautiful record player with all kinds of wonderful records. and that one will be joining us very, very soon.
Lovely.
It's one of those records that needs to be played on a record player. The sound
Mm,
is there. It's just one of those kind of things. So happy that you're doing record. Vinyl's important, man. I've been talking with a lot of artists about vinyl and the comeback that it's made, man. It's really wild.
yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to listen to music, and especially now where things are so fast and it changes so fast. It's even got more value, I think. Being able to sit, vinyl like a record's 45 minutes. Like front to like give yourself that time, listen to some art, but make yourself feel, and then get on with your day. It's a beautiful thing.
It really is. Transitioning to another beautiful thing right now, the ukulele is a major part of your music. It's a major part of our lives as well. I think, Blue, how many do we have? Six ooks. We got a baritone,
Yeah,
got a tenor. We got
love it.
all kinds of good stuff. The baritone is my personal favorite because of the warm sound it brings. But talk about the ook and why you play it and how it came about.
Yeah, it's my mum showed me. It's the first instrument that I learned. So lots of Polynesian cultures use the ukulele. For me, it was just the first. It was literally the first one I picked up, and when I started writing songs on the ukulele, it just felt right. And it's the baritone ukulele because it's a longer scale, it's a bit lower, and it just suits the way that I write and play. And honestly, like I'm on a journey with it. So, it's been. I think I first started playing when I was about 5 or 5, and this particular ukulele that I play now is made from koa wood from Hawaii, but it was made by these beautiful ukulele makers in Lake Tahoe, or places, and the brand's called Tide, Tyde,
Hmm.
and they made me an ukulele, and I saw them at a show last weekend, and I only see them, any when I get to come to America. But yeah, they made that ukulele in 2016, so I've been playing it every one of my shows since then, and it's even got like another. It's almost like I feel like it's coming into another tone, or just because it's got all this history or all these gigs, and it's still quite young, being like, what is it now? It's yeah, it's like 9. It's just getting on. It's 2024 next year, and I'm looking forward to like getting to know the ukulele more.
Yeah, that will that be the next thread in your the ukulele threads, it's
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah. Bobby, man, we're so happy to have you on, man. The ook is just it's so important. It's almost like this instrument. Yeah, it's very accessible for people to pick up that maybe are scared of something. But it's also this instrument that kind of it's got this feeling of togetherness and just simplicity that other instruments don't. It's just a powerful thing. Whenever I hear music of the ukulele, it always, no matter if it's a baritone or what, it always brings me happiness, and I think that's important, right?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's I feel lucky to play it, and I've still got a long way to go. So I'm looking forward to getting into it deeper. Yeah.
So, speaking of deeper, let's go a little bit deeper here. You've had some really, really interesting philosophies and quotes. I don't know you personally, so I had to do a little bit more research for this one, but that's not a problem. When we interview people, it's not an interview, it's a conversation. And in order to conversate, you got to love, you got to understand. And some of the things that you said are just so powerful. If I feel nervous, if I feel, not so good about something, let's get in there. Let's go straight for it. That's such a powerful thing. And it's not easy to do that. Give us an example of that and how you overcame that.
Yeah. Wow. Um, Nicely picked up. Yeah. Well, look. Honestly, I just think there's something about being on the edge of fear that is really like it's like a clue that you're getting into the right place somehow. I don't know. And I think for me, like obviously singing is in front of people is really scary. You know, it's like even just saying a speech in front of, like in front of a crowd is getting up and, there's so many things that could go wrong in your head. And I knew when I started to think about what that would feel like. And then when the thought of it, like I just get this tight feeling in my stomach, and it obviously means that I care about it a lot. So yeah, and the more that when scary things come up, and I kind of I like to lean in a bit harder, just because I feel like it's a clue. It's a clue that you're onto something here, and you're onto something in your soul that wants to be heard or wants to be out there. So like, let's go and find out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, we were, I looked at this quote, about 45 minutes ago to an hour ago, and we were actually in a scary situation, not, life-threatening scary situation, but a scary situation nonetheless. We had the hard drive crash on us, and, we had this beautiful chat coming up with you. And then I kind of read that and I was like, you know what? Hmm, that's interesting. That how does that thread kind of relates to exactly where we are right now? And then Blue comes in the room and he said, "Hey, I think we can do this. Let's do this. I'm going to need your help." You know, it's crazy how that happens.
It is. It really is. And that's the thing. That's what I like about the like we get small fears like from the tiny little things, and then from also from big things. But it's this practice of like overcoming fear, and just yeah, just giving things a go.
Absolutely, give it a go. We got to figure it out, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so keeping on this subject, what do you want to do that still scares you?
Well, I've I'm doing a few different tours this year, and sometimes I guess when you do something that you love to do, uh, yeah, you're taking risks as you get older as well. Taking risks, they feel a bit more risky. And one of those things was I always had this thought that I wanted to play in the morning, like at like a breakfast time. Like I wanted to do a gig, and I was like, what would that be like? And then like often I've been like, it's kind of a weird idea, like it won't work out. Like yeah, it just there's a few things that were stopping me from doing it, and then because of that, um, I decided to go for it, and I put together a breakfast tour with some friends and a few different people. We organised a breakfast tour in Australia, so literally playing at like 9 o'clock in the morning. We played 50 cafes all over Australia in 5 weeks, so it's like it was a lot, but and no idea of the outcome. Stepping into the unknown of like, what is this stupid idea? Will anyone even be there? And man, it went off. It was unbelievable. It's changed the game for me, like in terms of you know, it was just a completely different culture. In the middle of the week, sometimes there was like 200 people just spilling out onto the street, listening to music in the morning, and all the cafes enjoyed it. Everything worked out. There was no like everything worked out on every level. In terms of the vibe, financially, everything that I would have stopped me, it all was fine. And from that is there's a new possibility out there. I'm going to do a little run in Europe now of morning shows. I'm even doing a restaurant tour of Italy, which is something that is something a bit different. And yeah, I just think that I'm really happy that we forged ahead and went through with it. Against all the odds, and have created a new possibility.
How cool is that? I'll bet you the AM shows have a completely different energy to them that nobody has really experienced unless they've done a breakfast show, it's coffee instead of beer. If you know, if
Exactly.
you know, like
Yeah.
it's the mindset within the crowd. You know, your mind is working differently in the morning. You know, I bet you there's
100%. Yeah. And
so
even
many
singing in the
differences.
morning, like singing first thing, I'd wake up and I'd warm up my voice and then I'd go and do a show. I've never done that in my life. I've done so many shows, but it was a new experience. And people in the morning, like people are busy. You get to them sometimes at the end of the night and they've had a big long day and it's so much has happened. Yet in the morning you got them fresh and everyone's there and they're still in almost in their dream state still. So there was this really cool feeling. It was something that I'd never experienced before.
How cool is that? So you got, so you did it in Australia, right? And now you're going to
Yeah.
take it out into the rest of the world pretty soon, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How cool is that? Breakfast shows, AM shows. I think
Yeah.
I was a former tour manager, so AM for me would be AM shows would be maybe a sound check at a festival if you are maybe the headliner or somebody who's maybe the very or earliest support within the fest, but that's still goodness like 10, 11, 12. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine something at like 8 a.m., 7
I
a.m.
know it's hard to
How
imagine.
crazy
I
is
know
that?
it really was, and everything pointed against not doing it because it was like this is madness. But honestly, like you've done work by 10:30, 11. It's done. You got the whole day. I'm actually like in these places, and I'm meeting up with friends for dinner, and I'm having some early nights, and like, oh, this is different, and it was a beautiful experience. Like I still love nighttime energy, don't get me wrong, but it was just nice to experience something different and also offer, something for other people. Lots of families came and lots of people that don't go out at night. They're like, I don't want to like I've got work and I've got lots of things to do. And like sometimes, we go on stage at 10 p.m.
Right.
now, and that lots of people were not up for that. So it was a really beautiful to kind of see this whole different audience.
Oh, it's so powerful. Leading the way through, changing the idea of how people do things. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it another way. But, if it scares you and you don't think you can get around the scariness of something, you're never going to do it. That's
100%.
so
Yeah. So
cool, Bobby.
go
That's
for it.
so
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so talking about, the world here and all these different places you've been to, I've talked with a few artists, especially Ben from Dub Effects, who's one of the few that have really seriously toured the world and gone
Mm.
almost everywhere. And you've kind of gone almost everywhere. Let's talk about one of your favorite places first. What's your one that just, the world is amazing and gorgeous, and there's so many different places and people and cultures and everything, but what's one that really really stands out to you?
Mm. Wow. That's a good question. Because you're right. There is. I feel like I'm a student of life and student of the world. I think I really do like experiencing or just getting a tiny little look at cultures and the way that people live and I find that like the fundamentals of like it actually there's so much simplicity out there, of what people enjoy. Good food, good company, you can really there's so many similarities around the world in these fundamentals. Good music and you really feel and beautiful nature, like you really feel these simple things in places so deeply. And I think for everyone it's different. Someone might connect in one place, not other people do, and then and that is special. And I think as I get to travel more, you really know, like I really know when I feel good in a place. I'm like, wow, this is really special. Um, and like there's an island called Sardinia in Italy, That's got such a slow pace about it. And I think at the time that I went there, um, yeah, I just really was able to slow down, even though like I feel like that's my specialty, but there was something special about that area and the way that people live there. They've got like what they call like what they're in the blue zone, so it's one of the highest concentration of people living over 100 years old, which I was fascinated by because there's all this old crew getting around. I'm like, what's happening here? What are these guys doing differently? And I've listened to lots of podcasts and read lots about it, and it's got to do with community, sense of community is something that where people it helps you live longer. It's about your family and the people that are around you, and that's really similar to my Polynesian upbringing. So I feel the same way when I went to the Cook Islands and when I go to Samoa, as I did when I went to Sardinia. And that's Italy and Polynesia. They're two different places, but there's that fundamental aspect to community is there. Um, and like it pops up in these. Like I went to Salt Spring Island in Canada. You been there? That's another
No.
special place. Yeah, there's something special about that place and the way that people live with each other there, and um, like this. Yeah, I feel like these places pop up and it's just this little acknowledgement of wow, this is really special. Like um, yeah, and it happens everywhere around the world. There's just these little bite-sized moments where I'm just like, wow, this place is special and these people are special. I'm so lucky to be here. Next place.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about, the sense of community. I watched a documentary on Netflix years ago called Happy. I think it was called,
Mm,
and it was talking about that. And I think that Sardinia, was that right?
yes.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the five places that they were
Wow.
talking about. One of them was also in Japan somewhere as well.
Yes,
And
an
it,
island in
yeah,
Japan. Yeah.
talking about the sense of community and being together, just like you feel like sometimes when you're driving down a highway and you're stuck in traffic, you feel this sense of community almost with everybody in this same place feeling the same things. And I've always felt that on highways for some reason, and some energies are different than other in other places of the world as well. But the family is always better together. I say that all the time. It's so important to be together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, man. It's like this change of flipping the concept of I, because everything's like, there's this tendency to be like everything's happening to me this, me that. But as soon as you change that to we, to us, it's like it's got a different effect. Or how does this affect us rather than how does this affect me? It's like this. There is a change. There's a flip there almost, and yeah, it's. I like that. I like flipping it.
Yeah, absolutely. Flipping the script, doing, what, again, if something scares you, go do it because it's probably
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
lead to something powerful. Bobby, it's been a really great time chatting with you. I had all, like when we do interviews, like you got to feel out what's happening in the space and in your ears and, and in all your senses. And sometimes it'll be an interview. It's like, plug this, plug that, blah, blah, blah. We've had some of those, but it feels like this one, when we got into it, I kind of stopped looking at the phone and going to kind of what we're feeling, and I'm feeling all these different energies that are coming from your music and you keeping it on the world thing. You've talked about what places have really made an impact on you. What places have yet to make an impact on you? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, it's a good question. I will look. There's another thread that's starting, which is a bit, yeah, it's a little bit scary, and that's why I'm leaning into it. But basically, it's so on your Spotify account, you can see where everyone streams you. Like you can see where like what different countries and territories, and um, one that's popping up, which we're all like me and my team are really like excited about is Brazil.
Mm.
You know, there's one of our biggest listeners is Sao Paulo, Brazil, and there's a big Brazilian community where I live in Byron Bay, Australia, and like in Australia, lots of cities have big Brazilian communities, and there's something about the music that I create and and that culture, like that there's a synergy there, and lots of Brazilians come to our show. So yeah, we've got plans to go there. And as much as it's sort of a bit crazy because it's like uncharted territory, it runs totally differently. It's like, yeah, sure, we're just gonna so we're going for it. So I'm gonna try and get to Brazil literally next year. No,
Well,
I'm gonna get to Brazil next year.
yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know the Soja crew or Tribal Seeds or any of those guys? If you need help linking with them, they have they've done Brazil many times. Reggae,
Cool.
yeah. Reggae music is huge, 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 huge in South America. It's very, very big.
Amazing.
Yeah,
No,
yes.
man, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone, or I don't know anything or anyone. So, I'm just doing my thing down here, and this is how it all works. These are the threads. You just kind of mention what it is you want to do, and then like yeah, you kind of call it in somehow.
Good. And then that's what this thread is about in this current moment is just making connections and making cool things happen from it. I got two more questions for you, and then we're gonna get you out of here. Like
Nice.
again, we got Bobby Alu. We're flipping the script. Here's the questions. Let's throw them over there. No big deal. It's all about the feels, man. Keep It Tropical is such a special, special piece of music. Coming up as well, you've got more breakfast tours. You're in the U.S. on the West Coast right now, supporting your friend Xavier Rudd, who you actually were a percussionist for 5 years with. So that's a family experience for sure. The second to last question here just came up in my mind. We talked about all the different cool places that you want to go or that you've been that have made an impact. Let's talk about people or a situation or an atmosphere and energy that has changed you or you'll never forget.
Wow. I feel like I'm looking for this stuff constantly. And it's always like, even when you're looking for it, like you get it when you least expect it or something like that. It's like, yeah, I think, yeah, the one that comes to mind most recently is like, I did a tour with my mum, which is something that I never thought I would do. Um, and that all came from this thread of, I grew up in Australia, but like wanting to connect with my mum's culture more. I like literally just asked her to teach me a song, like just one Samoan song. So I was singing in language, and it was such a beautiful moment. And like that one moment has led to another, that's led to another and another. But I just specifically remember then being like, wow, this is really something that's special that, I should remember, because it's like there's just like it was just a special moment. There was something, the vibes were on. And so that led to like me recording an album with her. So I recorded an album with her of traditional songs. And then we did a few videos, and those videos went viral amongst the Samoan community. So now, like literally everywhere I go around the world, there's always like different little Samoan pockets of people that pop up that connect with these songs, and they connect with the fact that I'm a half Samoan that's lived in another culture, but is still connecting with the roots of Samoan culture and song, which is really special. Having that thread and that ability to do. So that's led to I went on tour with my mum because we performed it live. So we performed all these songs live, and it was an amazing experience to like go on tour with mum. And I had this like feeling of like, oh look, I can't wait to show mum, around the tour, like take her under my wing and like show her around. Like it felt good to do. But little did I know is actually she schooled me the whole tour. Like she used to tour herself. She was a professional Polynesian dancer when I was growing up, and just completely forgot about that. And you know, she was just on the road. She had this way of like being so connected and so grounded in every show that I was just like, wow, how do you even do that? And it was really special to see my mum in that way, to see her do it. And one thing that happened on the tour is that her brother um, suddenly in Samoa he passed away while we were on tour,
Mm.
and she didn't tell me. She found out like an hour before we went on stage, and she didn't tell me because she knew that I probably wouldn't be able to make it through the gig because we're singing lots of the songs. And he was one of the uncles that showed me how to play music. So I was like connected to him. And she held it the whole, like she did one of the most amazing gigs. She held it the whole time without telling anyone. And then after the gig, she let me know. And I told her, I said, hey, look, we can cancel the rest of the gigs. We can go to Samoa tomorrow. And she's like, no, no, no. He'd want us to finish. So we did all the gigs. And she basically held us all together. And like, you know, I kind of think I'm this strong, you know, man, and I travel a lot and I like do all this stuff and I do all these things that, you know, that are pretty crazy and take a lot of physical strength. But, you know, my mum was the one that's actually way stronger. And I was like, oh, that's strength right there, you know. So even that just process and following those threads and this whole story has been like a real special thing that I've got to experience.
Wow, that's incredible, man. What a story. You know, touring with your mom, making music with your own family. That's something that doesn't happen a whole lot. Maybe brother sister combos, brother brother combos more so. But you know, mom and dad, or mom or just dad or whatever it is, that's a rare thing. And what an incredible story that is, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Life is pretty cool. And
Yeah, it's mad.
you talk about the threads, you know, and you think about all this stuff that we don't know about the universe and how this all connects. There is some kind of connection, I think. And I think you're onto something with this idea of threads. It's
Yeah,
pretty
man.
cool,
It just
man.
takes the tiny littlest thing, you know, to lead you somewhere. So yeah, just follow them. You know, you never know where they go.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I'm so glad we got over our scary moment and got on here and did this with you. It's been such a uplifting, uh, uh, wisdom full of experience, love, whatever chat. It feels right. It's been really good, man. Real quick,
I like
tell
that.
everybody how they can find you one more time, especially Keep It Tropical, the tour, all that stuff, and then we'll do the last question.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, you just go to bobbyalu.com, BOBBYALU.com. You will find everything.
Wonderful. So the first time I interview somebody, it's always the same question, and you will get it as well. You're not 100% reggae, but reggae is definitely a part of you and what you are and what you play and your art. So what does reggae mean to you, Bobby?
Oh man, gonna drop a question like that? Gee. It's for me, it's it's like a connection to the like a lot the connection from like the spirit world to the earth. That's reggae music, man. Definitely.
It's always a different answer. Anybody, it's so cool. It's a connection to the spirit world. We haven't had that one.
The
You are
portal. It's the
a
portal. You know the
portal.
portal?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
whoa. Yeah, everybody that listens to reggae music knows about the portal that reggae music creates.
Yeah, 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 totally. I know, man.
If you don't, now you do.
That's special.
Bobby, it's been such a pleasure. Everybody out there, go check out Bobby Alu and all his beautiful art, and keep following the threads. Keep doing that. Take naps. Keep it tropical.
Yeah, bro.
Always, always keep it slow. Keep it moving. Whatever the energy is, make sure it's right. And if it's not, power through it. It's been a pleasure, Bobby. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
choppy, choppy, go. Keep it choppy, go. Keep it choppy, choppy, go. Keep it choppy, choppy, go. Keep it choppy, choppy, go. Oh. Tell a story, there's no rules. Fiesta slow, leaving home. Point and shoot, yeah, we're heading home. Keep it choppy, choppy, go.